This T, which is
bro.
This cup's me?
This is you, bro.
All right, word. Say that. All right, so this is a fly teapot too.
Shout out to moms.
You know what I mean? Real rap. So, okay, that's actually, I appreciate you having me. I want to thank you first and foremost because, like we were talking about on off camera a little bit, you know, I've just admired and I've been tapped in with the work that you're doing here with your colleagues and your friends, family members as you would see them fit. And, you know, this is even an opportunity for me to learn more about you. But today we're here in order to talk about this new journey and experience that you've created for the community in terms of how to find mental discipline in their entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
right?
bro.
So can you expound a little bit on just what initially inspired you to do that and how that's an offering to the space and the collective that you're in? Like, can you bring it all together for me so I can just see how it's like, okay, I did this while or doing this as well?
Absolutely. Appreciate you being in this space. And thank you for that question. Mental disciplines for the modern entrepreneur. At the core of it, basically coming out of 2020, I saw that we are transitioning as human beings into this new way of living, and everyone wants to not be part of the capital ladder, so to speak, and not be in the 9-to-5 system. But by going out of that lifestyle, you kind of tune into wanting to be an entrepreneur. And understanding entrepreneurship is like understanding a sport. It's almost like, you know, everybody's like, you know, this new stuff came along, AI, let's all jump on it, but nobody understand it. So you can't really make a move. So it's the same with entrepreneurship. It's like, you know, there's new ideas introduced to our community and we have to learn about it as best as we can for us to compete in that arena. Or else we're just gonna be, you know, entrepreneurship on the surface level, but really, you know, we're working for the real owners.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I heard a phrase called owning a job as I've been studying, and that's what it reminded me of what you said. Like, I also would like to ask as well, like, this is called the bridge, right? And I've always looked at the entrepreneur journey as a bridge to having your own business. And I saw in here in one of your pages that you were describing how entrepreneurship is business. So what do you think about that concept of like it being a bridge to being a business owner or it being a business itself? Like how do you expound on that effort?
Entrepreneurship to me, I feel, is our birthright.
Yeah, I seen that in there. Yeah, I like that. Please expound.
Like, yeah, just like, you know, your freedom, your liberty. Entrepreneurship is our birthright, as if you look at the concept of us being creators, created in the image of God. God is an entrepreneur.
I prescribe to this same notion. That's why I'm like, you talking my language.
So if we are, you know, in the image of God, we should be entrepreneurs in our birthright.
Yeah.
That means we have the ability to create our own reality. So if you take that ability away, then you're just working for someone at a job.
Inevitably, right.
Yeah, and the word job actually comes from the Old English that means criminal.
Never knew that.
In our nature as men of African descent, we don't prescribe to a job just by hearing the word internally. That's why we don't function in the system, because of the wordings that they give us. So the word job means criminal, literally. If you look it up in the dictionary, it's in there, probably the 7th, 8th definition. Yeah, so it's like, so by understanding that, you understand how, like, you know, words have meaning. And when we speak these words, these English words that was given to us by, you know, people who was trying to colonize us. So to give us these words, they didn't give us the meaning of the words. We just had to learn it and adapt our tongue.
Absolutely.
So as we speak these words, we manifest our reality. So it's like understanding that part of it, that's the, you know, spiritual, and then leading into the mental part. But the mental part is just like, you know, as I described it earlier, if you're an athlete, you want to understand not just how to play the sport, but how to, you know, practice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's going to lead you to a game. So this is the practice. That's going to lead you to that game. So if you're in the game, you could be on the arena. You could show up to watch the game, or you could show up as someone who's being watched.
Yeah.
So this is that decision, how you want to show up.
And that's where I wanted to bring in some of these pieces of literature that you have in front of us into the conversation, because I was looking through the work that you had, and you had some quotes and some mentions, and I know you brought these things here today to like give some definition and some explanation. So I know I see Think and Grow Rich right here. You know what I mean? If nobody, if y'all ain't read that already, then you know what I mean? That's like, I think that's essential to every entrepreneurship journey. But I'd like for you to expound on what else you have here as well.
Oh, absolutely. I guess a little plug to the community. Thank you. But I got the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra, and this talks about success on the spiritual level, and 7 principles are in there. I got The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and that book just kind of talks about mentally how to live in the now, like the present moment.
Absolutely, I've tapped in with that, John, too.
And enjoying, what this is, and not worrying about, what we're gonna do after we leave here, or what we're supposed to do, right now. Just, tapping into the sense of that, and engaging in this mental space where we're, building and sharpening one another's mind. That's like if you look at it that way, you see there's so much more that you can extract from a moment, rather than
waiting for the next John.
I'm gonna just do this, and then I'm gonna do that. And so that book really kind of centers me, and there's a bunch more other stuff that's in there. But it's really, the power of, it literally allows you to, if your mind is wandering, either let it be, or, you could bring it back to the present moment. So expound on things like that. This book right here, The Tower of Leadership, is just, I think it's about 100 principles of, how leaders should, happen and behave and things like that. So I carry this book with me every time, just throughout, flip out, and just read a quote that's just kind of anchors my mind, to give it something to think about, because the mind always gonna be working, so you got to give it something to think about. So for me, this is that moment throughout the day. I'm like, all right, let me read a quote. All right, this is, it's like food. Yeah, it's like, if you're working, you got to eat. Our bodies got to eat. Most people, we eat all day, but we don't feed our minds. You feed your minds through, stuff like this, or else you're gonna walk out and then you're gonna hear that commercial. I was about to say, you start scrolling, you hit that scroll, and you start ordering stuff. Like, I get here, because your mind was empty and you didn't put in something to anchor it. So this for me, and that's what that does for me on a daily. How successful people think. That's just the art of how to say, like the multiple physical roads that lead you to one destination. So that teaches you how to create a mental road, and the art of thinking, how other people have created, things. John Maxwell, the great author of that book. He has many other books on like the art of success. So it's like the sport, if you think
like
about
you said,
it,
the practice and everything that goes into it.
The sports, and like basketball, everybody know what a double dribble, triple, or travel, travel, walk, and one. So all these concepts in success, so if you understand, oh wow,
that was a bar. Yeah, that was crazy.
That's what that is. As a Man Thinketh, this is really a book by James Allen. This book is fire, bro. It's hard. It's more like a pamphlet, but it's I was
about to say, that one ain't even super dense. So for you to like acknowledge that one in that way, it's crazy. Like, that one gotta be the crazy one.
It's hard. I'm gonna leave it like that. But it just shows you how you think. So like, it's almost like removing yourself outside of your mind and being like a person who's watching yourself, being an observer, basically. So it's like, with that one really kind of showed me I'm able to control my mind. Absolutely. As a person. So like that book, it talks again about purpose, success, and a bunch of other little chapters in there. But it also, grounds you in a spiritual way. you know, it's very interesting. The cover, it really kind of speaks to the divine nature as people. But in here they have, circumstances where we put to karma, or they have just like short little things you could expand on. Health, which is very important, and I covered it in that as well. Because our health, we don't really take care of our health and what we put in our bodies, so then our bodies don't perform how we want it to perform. Because our body's always going to be attracting and manifesting. So what you put in your body and what you do allows your body to function and manifest in its most optimal way.
Yeah.
And gives you your most potent, thoughts or wishes, or however way it works. And Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, bro, that's what it is. I got this line in one of my spoken word that kind of sums up that book, but it says, a wise man once told me, work and grow poor, or think and grow rich.
Mm-hmm.
And so
work and grow poor, or think and grow rich.
Summary of that book. And so with the entrepreneurship and really trying to be the gods that we are on earth, because that's the reality of it, if we're going by the concept that we talked about earlier, with us being the product of God's creation, the African male being or the African mother being the first mother. Right. That means the first father was the African male.
Exactly.
So by that nature, we are the closest things to gods on earth.
On this planet.
So we have to move in that way and think in that way and function in that way. And so that's why my artist name is Unapxligetic, because I want us to cultivate that mindset, to be unapologetically ourselves in the sense of our physical self, our mental self, and our spiritual self, and move in that power, because that is our God power. But that book breaks down really money in the thinking concept of money, not so much of the physical concept of money. And I think one of the things that stood out to me in that book, and I think it's in that book, it talks about money as, don't think about making money, because the only people who make money work out there, the money mills. Think about earning money.
Right.
Because when you think about earning money, that means you put yourself in the position of providing a service, which is a value. So now when you provide a service, you're getting a return on your value.
As it should be divinely set to be, right?
Yeah.
That's just how it should be.
As you sow, so shall you reap. So that's what that kind of breaks it down in. So that was probably a crazy tangent, but
nah, I mean, it as I was listening to you, I was, like you said, being in the present moment of just inheriting what you're sharing with me, and my mind started filling up, but I had to quiet it so that I could, so I could really take in what you were saying.
Right.
But one thing that I had thought about going into this was that, you speak about, and everybody pronounces this differently. They'd be like the African diaspora or the diaspora. Everybody like.
I said diaspora.
Yeah, everybody pronounce it differently. I'm not no grammar
English
person.
word.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm not into the grammar thing, but I know for the sake of it, I know that's in a lot of the things that you say and build and create and provide as service. So before we even get into the mental disciplines for the modern entrepreneur elements, I wanted to set this foundation so that people can really get to know you and really understand where the positioning, like you said, of this service and this offering that you have is. So can you talk about where and why you chose that journey? Like you say, you told me where you're from, but when I say where, it's like we talked a lot about the mind just now.
Right.
So where, not physically, but where were you when you decided that was going to be the effort and the mission that you took forward with?
That's a very interesting question. Very introspective. I guess since I was little, I always felt like I had answers. But I grew up around people who's they're very, physical in the nature of looking at kids. Like now I tell people, don't look at them as children, look at them as, little humans.
Small adults.
Yeah.
I'll be on that same time, right? Those is
They
just
have
small
a lot
adults.
more answers than you think, because they are the next generation of you. They're already smarter than you.
Right.
Just by them being born.
That part.
So, listen to them more. Rather than you putting the concepts you've kind of taken from the world on them as they mature into the earth. Because the earth is always going to birth a new consciousness to evolve itself.
Right.
Mother Nature is a living being.
Yeah, it's going to ensure that it
that.
provides itself with what's going to keep it sustained as well.
Exactly.
Like,
Same we've seen as humans, same
Right.
what we do. So, so that's kind of rooted in that. But I had, concepts of that, and it took me a while to figure it out. But I think probably after high school, into college, studying graphic design and things, and really understanding the power of design, branding, advertising, and marketing, and how how people are manipulated through colors and sound, and even in movies and things like that. So as I was pairing that with what I was thinking, I felt like I had a unique gift, also being an artist, to make my work speak its truth, and whatever that meant for me, and people who inspired me along my journey was the likes of Bob Marley, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Nelson Mandela, Peter Tosh,
Right.
Those kind of people through just growing up, and the list goes on, but those people was really the foundation of my perspective of the world, and so I was like, okay, there's a lot more that's beyond what everybody else would be talking about. So just with that background knowledge and the knowledge of design and art, I felt like I could do my own stuff in the sense of providing that same thing. Just some days be on billboards and things.
I was just about to
like
say,
that.
bro, you're gonna go in the names of those people you just
that's what
named.
it is.
Yeah, I can see in that list bro. I can feel that energy.
Appreciate that. Thank you, brother. It's crazy because that's how I felt as a kid. Like I felt like those people.
Absolutely.
I don't know what they felt like, but I felt that energy.
Energy, right?
And I never really got the chance to meet them, which is something I think about. Like I was like, what it would be like if I met those people. Also, shout out Queen Nanny of the Maroons.
Okay.
Anyone who don't know her, true Jamaican queen who liberated the people. She showed the true power of the African woman's strength.
Absolutely.
So she's I'm actually doing a poster series, and she's one of the figures in that poster series I got coming up in the next edition of that African Constructivism series. But to kind of answer your question, Marcus Garvey and what he was teaching, that really kind of made sense to me in the fact that why wouldn't we want to, quote unquote, bridge the gap between the different continents? Because at one point, if you understand history, all the land was together.
Exactly.
That's why all the continents all look like
Puzzle pieces.
Yes. So as people, that's in us to be together however way the earth changes. So what Marcus Garvey was teaching, and also his stuff he was actually building with his the ships,
The Black Star and these things, absolutely.
That was adapted in the Ghanaian flag as well. And his ability to proudly be out as an educated male, because an educated black male was frowned upon back then. So his ability to showcase that as he's moved, and also personally, he never made the journey to Africa, and everybody always brings that up, but the idea and the seed that he cultivated in the minds of people, is very powerful than the physical thing. And so I was like, okay, I could definitely, take a plate from here and take a plate from here, and definitely shout out Malcolm, very at the top of my list. The spirit that he had is just that it felt unapologetic
All the time.
just, you know, it was right there for me as a person.
But intentional,
Yeah,
not like he's just being just random or just sporadic. It's super intentional.
Yeah,
everything.
But all them stuff, like I said, came from real when I was little. With, you know, what Bob Marley was saying, Lucky Dubé, Peter Tosh in their music, and you know, also what was happening in South Africa, the apartheid and all them stuff. Learning about them, you know, I was like, damn, you know.
You felt called.
Y'all got us the first time, you know, but not the second time. You know, I just think we have a unique opportunity to educate our you know, next generation on how the earth actually is, how the world actually works.
Like you said, how their minds actually can be. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. So that's at the foundation of everything that I do. Yeah.
I give thanks and praise because a lot of those things you just mentioned are a lot of my foundation. I was, just to give some closing remarks before we go into the next part of this interview, is like, I found the intentions behind wanting to have a media platform or inspirations. Like you said, the Honorable Marcus Garvey was one of the only black men with his own media, along with Elijah Muhammad and Frederick Douglass and many other great people. But those are the three people that initially spoke to me to say, all right, well, they don't tell our story correctly. So I'm here to tell the stories correctly and document people's expressions in their most authentic way. And then I also devoted my spirituality and the practice of it to being a Rasta when I turned 18, because I was confronted by the entire judicial system on federal crime charges, you feel me? And I wasn't a criminal.
Right.
I was just living in my divine purpose, figuring out how to navigate out of my own environment that I was placed in, using what resources and limited information that I had. And so once I found spirituality and a higher self within me to navigate that, God, I know for a fact, God gave me a path. He said, look, we're gonna get you through this one, right? The inner God in me channeled that and said, all right, I got the message from the universe, like, this cannot happen again though, right? This is grace. But don't let this happen again, because they're coming for you. This is intentionally set up for you to be caught up. So now that I've become once I recognized that I was Rasta at a younger age, I've devoted my physical to practicing what I know guides my spirituality to the highest order that it can possibly reach, which is source.
Right.
And then, you know, to end the point on music, that was my reformation. And I mean, when I met Smooth Waffle, he showed me music. I didn't know nothing about music. He just came from college and had all of this knowledge about the science behind sound and how to engineer the actual experience people getting from the music. So when I started just building more friendship and brotherhood with him, you know what I mean, I showed him what I knew about being an entrepreneur. As we've been stating, I've been an entrepreneur since I was young, so it's just like this all connects very well. And he showed me about music, and then that was able to give me a voice to truly start developing methods of healing, just being able to get it out and not just, like you was mentioning with these books, just let it flutter around in my head and then the outside world speak, and then it just starts becoming this gumbo of misinformation that I'm leading myself with. So I appreciate you sharing these sentiments about where you started, because it's like I'm in my reflection almost, but just in a different dimension. You know what I mean? So give thanks and praise, and like we're gonna tap in with with this in the next part of this. So.
Shout out to homie Smooth.
You feel me?
For sure.
Yeah.